tonight because you know someone like this man or like myself that has battled a blood cancer or is battling blood cancer. And other people here maybe just heard of Team in Training and thought it was a great cause. Either way, you're all heroes. You're all gathered here tonight to prepare your mind and body for the journey you're going to take tomorrow, for your marathon, for your race towards a cure, for your race for hope. My journey, my marathon, began almost 2 years ago when I was diagnosed with acute myelogenous leukemia on October 16th of 2008. After an immediate admission to Roswell Park Cancer Institute in Buffalo and a month-long stay, I was luckily in remission. For just over a year, I stayed in remission with the help of a lot of outpatient chemotherapy. But by January 2010, I finally started to feel better and more myself. I only had 2 more rounds of chemotherapy, then I would be done. The end was in sight. Or so I thought. And like they said, 10 members of my family were signed up for the Disney Half Marathon, and I was very excited about going to Orlando to travel with them. I was very neutropenic at the time, which means that my immune system was not normal, but the doctors said, you know what, go ahead, enjoy yourself, just be really careful. So I went, got up at 5 with them in the morning and cheered them on in the pouring rain and snow. It was the best morning of my life, so I can't imagine how it felt for them, even though it was freezing. But ironically, the day we got home, or the day after we got home, I went to Roswell and my blood work was slightly abnormal, which prompted a bone marrow biopsy where we learned my cancer had in fact returned. So we went from this high to this low. So naturally I was frustrated. I'd spent about 1.5 years doing some really intense chemotherapy and I still hadn't escaped cancer's grasp. But I tried not to get too down. I tried to tell myself, well, you've been here before, you know what to expect, and hey, at least you can pack your own bag this time to go to the hospital. So I convinced my boyfriend to drive me up to a store and get some new Lululemon clothes for my hospital stay, so I'd be nice and comfy. On the way home, we got a big cheesecake and indulged in that before I had to report to Roswell the next morning. I spent the next 5 weeks at Roswell. This particular regime of chemotherapy they were putting me through was much stronger than the last, and I was consequently much weaker. But a bone marrow donor had been identified for me, and she agreed to donate. And on top of all that, she happened to be a 10 out of 10 match. I felt like the luckiest girl in the world. I got the chance to spend a few weeks at home with my family before the transplant. And I returned to Roswell, and on March 26th of 2010, I received my bone marrow transplant. And I spent the next 4 weeks recovering on the 5th floor of Roswell. And when I did finally get to go home, it was truly an amazing feeling. And my recovery only came faster in the comfort of my own home and with the support of my family. The day 100-day post-transplant milestone came and went, and each day felt better and better, and has ever since. Last week was actually the 6-month mark, and my marrow is still cancer-free. Each day gets a little bit easier and feels a little bit more normal. I'm slowly getting there. Tomorrow, you will begin your marathon, your journey, your race, racing against cancer and toward a cure. Every step you will be taking will help researchers get closer to a cure, but will also help inspire every patient and survivor you come across. As a patient, when you're out and about and you see someone in a Team in Training shirt, your heart just warms up, and you know that you just have this amazing network out there of people that care about the same cause, people that care about you, directly or indirectly. And often you strike up conversation with these people, and it inspires you even more. Let your honored patient be your inspiration, but never forget that you are also their inspiration. Wear your purple jersey proudly and help the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society spread the word and create awareness. You may not realize it, but by fundraising these past few months and by wearing your jersey tomorrow, you help to expand the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society's influence and create awareness for the cause we all care so deeply about. And tomorrow, you may just inspire another runner to do the same. I also want you to keep something else in mind. Hopefully, I have found my cure. And while many blood cancers don't have the option of a cure yet, those that do have treatments and cures are very difficult to get through. Throughout the past 2 years, I've experienced pain, nausea, and other discomforts I can't bear to describe or even begin to quantify. I've spent countless days locked in my house, too immune-compromised to leave. I've spent over 105 days in the hospital, received countless blood and platelet transfusions, and currently take 17 pills a day. And I know that sounds awful, but I've met people that have been through so much worse. While I'm very grateful for being given this shot at a cure, a shot at a new life, it's been an extremely long road to get here. And luckily, I was young enough and healthy enough otherwise to handle it. Others, however, have not been this lucky. Your team and training shirts read, "If you think training for an endurance event is hard, try chemotherapy." And they really couldn't be more right. It often makes the sick sicker and the weak weaker. Doctors often have to weigh risks and benefits, and many long-term risks are unknown. In my case, going through a transplant, while it saved my life, threw my body in a whirlwind, turned it upside down and inside out. I sacrificed my fertility, I'm at risk for developing another cancer, and at very high risk for osteoporosis. So, I'm doing much, much better now, but when I think back to 6 months ago, the transition amazes me. Even to think about how I felt a month ago compared to today is remarkable. So tomorrow, not only are you working towards a cure, you're working towards a better cure, an easier cure, a not so toxic cure. One day, cancer will not hold the negative connotation it holds today. One day, it will just simply be treatable, and you are helping the world get closer to that day. I've heard your coaches, among others, say that no matter who you are, the first 2 or 3 miles are the hardest. You'll hit a little bit of a lull in the middle, and the last few miles will also be challenging. In some way, my journey, my marathon, is similar to yours in this respect. It was hard in the beginning, I relapsed and had my lull in the middle, and I'm sure it'll be frustrating as I close in on the end. I feel like I've just passed the 23-mile marker, and in the grand scheme of things, I'm very close to finishing my race to recovery, my race against cancer. The name marathon comes from the Greek legend of Pheidippides. Around 490 BC, Pheidippides ran from the battlefields of Marathon to Athens, approximately 26.2 miles, without stopping. And he burst into the grand assembly, exclaiming, "We have won!" He, of course, was referring to their battle against the Persians. But tomorrow, when you cross the finish line, after running 26.2 miles from Bath to Corning, enjoy it. Throw your arms up, scream, and smile, because you have won. Thank you.